So in previous class we discussed regarding if statement and so if statement, so which having different types of statements. Among these which we discussed regarding, so good evening Anju Babu. So which we discussed regarding simple if and if else statement and so normally if else statement will be considered as if statement, but based on the uses we may divide it into different types and so in yesterday class we discussed regarding simple if and if else, and today we'll discuss another if statement that is called else if ladder. So else if ladder is nothing but, generally when it comes to if statement, the syntax, general syntax which may call, it will be like this: if condition, then statements, else statements. So this is the normal if statement syntax only. So you may call it as a if else also. Here we are saying else if ladder. Else if ladder is nothing but, in else part also you may have another if statement only. So means if you are having multiple conditions, at that time we may go through on these things. So when it comes to else if ladder, the syntax will be like this: if condition, so statements, else, again if it will come, if condition, statements, else. If you want, again you go with if also, else statements. So based on the requirements you may go with multiple conditions only. So in real world, at what situation you are going to use this one is, if you are having multiple options, among these you may go with one condition only. For example, if you want to decide the student grade, so the people who passed with above 75%, then the grade will be distinction. So if if you found any student, if he passed above 75%, greater than or equal to 70%, then it will be the grade is distinction. If he passed with marks greater than or equal to 60, then grade is first class. If his marks is greater than or equal to 50, grade is second class. So if it is greater than or equal to 35, then third class. So based on these percentages, so you may say that whether he belongs to, his grade is distinction, or as first class, or as second class, or as third class. And if you are getting less than 35, then result will be fail. If you are getting less than 35, then result will be fail. So means for grade it is a single only. When I am going to define one particular student record, I can say his roll number, his name, his marks, and his grade. So based on the student marks, the grade it will be either distinction or first class or second class or third class or fail. So we having different conditions on it. The first one is I'm checking greater than or equal to 75. Next second one is greater than or equal to 60. Next greater than or equal to 50. Next greater than or equal to 35. Next greater than or equal to less than 35. Means we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conditions are there. So in that situation, we may go with 5 if statements with else. So to solve such type of problems, we may go with else if ladder. So we'll go with small example for this one, and this is a general syntax. This is a general syntax for else if ladder. Okay, so we'll go through a small example for else if ladder. So example to find grade of the student. So here just I mentioned I need to find the grade of the student. So I didn't mention what are the input we required, what are the calculations we have, and these all things. Generally, if you want to find the grade of the student, you require the marks. You require the marks. It may be a single subject marks, or it may be multiple subject marks. Others, it may be total also. So it's up to your choice. So just I'm accepting student marks. That's all. Okay. So hash include stdio.h, then main begin. Just I am taking marks only. So int marks I am saying. Okay. So I am saying like that, printf enter student marks, scanf, it is percentage d ampersand marks. Now I need to decide his grade only. So based on the marks I am going to decide. So if marks greater than or equal to 75, if his marks are greater than or equal to 75, then what I am saying, printf grade is distinction. Okay. Else, sorry, small letter, else if marks greater than or equal to 60, means if his marks are below 75%, then it comes to second condition. So here I am saying printf grade is first class, else if marks greater than or equal to 50, so printf grade is second class. Again, else if marks greater than or equal to 35, so printf grade is third class. So, and next, if you are getting less than 35 marks, then result is fail, grade is fail. For that, you don't need to check the condition. Why? Because if I am saying, or if I am asking one person his marks, is it above 75%? Above 75 you got? He said no. Or you got above 60%? No. Or you got above 50%? No. Or you got above 35%? No. So if he said for every answer, if he said no, then we can decide he failed in subject. He failed. So we don't need to ask, are you got below 35? He will say yes only. Why? Because of all knows. So last one will be the S. So that's why you don't need to check it condition. Directly you can say that So grade is fail. Directly we can conclude it. So it is a small example for else if ladder. So just I am compiling this program and then run. So is asking student marks. I gave some 67. So alt F5. The grade is first class. So if I provided 32 marks, then grade is fail. And if I provided some 54, then grade is second class. Like that, based on the data which you provided, it is going to decide the grade ending. Okay. So it is a small example for nested if. So based on the real example, based on the situation, you may work on this type of if statements ending. So if you are having multiple conditions, so then we can choose this else if ladder. Okay. So next we will discuss about remaining if statements ending. So next we are having compound if statement ending. So compound if statement is nothing but, so it is also we can say that else if ladder, but not only else if ladder, any if statement which is having more than one condition in a single line, which is having more than one condition, then we call it as a compound if only. Okay. So or else we can say that the condition which is used in logical operators only. Logical operators and or not or. So this is a pipe symbol. So this is and this is or. So any if statement which is using these two logical operators, then we call it as a compound if only. Okay. So based on the example, we can decide it whether it is compound if or not. So simply you can say that the if statement which is having these logical operators. So when you, if you represented these two, then we call it as a compound if only. Okay. So we go for small example for this one. So just I suppose want to find the biggest number among three numbers only. I need to find the biggest value among three numbers. So for this, we can write an example. So here, example for compound if. So to find biggest value among three numbers. So I'm going to write a small example to find out biggest value among three numbers only. So when you want to find the biggest value among three numbers, then you supposed to write multiple conditions only. Okay. So assume it, I'm having some A with one number, B with one number, C with one number. Assume it, A is having somewhat like some 5, B is having some 9, C is having some 3. So I can say that B is the highest value, B is the biggest value. But without seeing, so I can't say anything. By seeing only we are saying, but internally our brain is comparing with different two values only. So the brain is going to compare 5 with 9 and then 9 with 3. Internally the compilation is going on, comparison is going on. So but it is a small thing, that's why we are not that much time we are spending. directly we are saying the 9 is the biggest. And how it is going to happen? So when you people are working with programming, here some assumption should be done. And so I will assume that A is the biggest. And to assume A is the biggest, then you should work with the condition. So A should be greater than B, and A should be greater than C and D. Then only I can say A is the biggest. So if A is having greater than B and A is greater than C, then I can say that A is the biggest. Sorry. So here the thing is, so when we people are working with that one, so if we assumed A is the biggest, if we assumed A is the biggest, then it should be greater than B and it should be greater than C and D. So if these two conditions are satisfied, then I can say that A is the biggest value. And if that is not the biggest value, I assumed that A is the biggest, but if it is the not the biggest value, then the second option will be the B and D. So if we are going to check the condition B, then B should be greater than A and B should be greater than C. But the thing is, if above one is not satisfied, if above one is not satisfied, means A greater than B and A greater than C. If this one is not satisfied, so it indicates that it is out of race standing. So already three people are there. Assume it, three people are there. So they need to target to race in race. They need to participate in race. So in preliminary also, in preliminary itself, A is disqualified. Then we can conduct race for B and C only. So here, if this condition is not satisfied, among these two, if anyone is not satisfied, then A will be out of race. A will be out of race. Then we can go with B and C only. So means here we no need to interact with this condition. Why? Because A is out of race. Then we can conclude, we can compare with B and C only. So if B is greater than C, then I can say B is the biggest candidate. If still this condition is also not satisfied, so then I can conclude that, I can decide that C is the biggest candidate. Why? Because if B is also out of race, then C only there. So he will be the winner. So means C is only the biggest candidate. So like that here, so I worked with and. I worked with and. So this is a logical operator. That's why we are saying it is a compound if and. Okay. So and these things will be decided based on your logic which you are having and. So it is not related to C programming or somewhere. So it is our work and we need to find the solution to solve the problem. Whatever the problem they provided, for that you supposed to find the solution. So first manually you should work on that one, and then we can implement through programming. Okay. So here for this I need to find three values only. So I need to input three values. So then what I am doing is, so int a comma b comma c I am taking three values, three variables I am taking only. And then after need to accept the values. So printf, so enter any three numbers. So just I am giving the message enter any three numbers only. Then scanf percentage d, percentage d, percentage d. Three percentage d's you supposed to give, and you never mention any spaces or commas or anything only. Okay, simply just to give, and then ampersand a comma, ampersand b comma, ampersand c. So three variables you should give. So now you're supposed to write the logic to find the biggest value among three numbers. So every decision making thing will be based on assumption only. Here I assumed that A is the biggest. If A is the biggest, then it should be greater than B and it should be greater than C and D. That condition here I am giving. So if A is greater than B, and is nothing but double ampersand symbol. In C programming, and is represented with double ampersand symbol. And A is greater than B and A is greater than C. If A is greater than B and A is greater than C, I can say printf, the biggest value is value is percentage D, comma A. A is the biggest value only. Else, when it comes to else means if A is not biggest, then else will come. So if A is not biggest, I am saying A is not big, I concluded A is not big, then we can compare with B and C only. Then if B is greater than C, then I am saying printf, the biggest value is percentage D, comma B. Else, so I am saying B is also not big, A is also not big, B is also not big, then I can decide C is the biggest. I don't need to check any condition. Why? Because that is the final. So the biggest value is percentage D, comma C. That's all. Just I am compiling and then executing. Enter any three numbers. I said some 12, 7, 23. So the biggest value is 23. I am checking 7. So 12, 7, 23. So A is greater than B. A is 12. Is it 12 is greater than 7? Yes. 12 is greater than 7? Yes. And I am checking 12. Is it greater than 23? No. Why? Because first condition is satisfied, but second condition is not satisfied. Here both conditions should satisfy. Why? Because I mentioned and. I mentioned and. Here both conditions should satisfy, but first one only satisfied, second one not satisfied. In that situation, it comes to else part. So here I am checking B is greater than C. So B is having 7, C is having 23. So B is having 7 and C is having 23. 7 is it greater than 23? 7 is it greater than 23? No. Then it comes to else part. And I'm going to decide the biggest value is C itself. Okay. So like that, the process is going on. So for every problem, you need to manually you need to check the solution, and then you can apply the application. So when you people are interacting with programming code logics like TCS, Ninja, some programming codes are there. These ones are there. So at that situation, so they will give the problem. For that, you need to find the logic. First solution you need to find manually, then you can apply in programming part. Okay, just go through on this one. Hello. So this is about compound if only. And next we discuss regarding nested if, means if within a if only. So if you wrote any if statement within a if statement, then we call it as a nested if only. So these are all the variants of if statement. Okay. All will come under if statement only. Okay. By default, we can say that if else normal statement only. But remaining all will come variants only. Okay. So it will be like this. So nested if will be like this. If condition statements. Sorry. If condition. Again, if condition is there. So begin statements, else statements. For this if, I'm going to mention else statements. So general format and it is not a standard format. So the simple thing is nested if is nothing but representing the if statement within another if statement. So that we call it as a nested if only. Here when observe that, so starting I am having one if statement. Starting I am having one if statement. Under if only I have another if only. That's why we call it as a nested if. And we can work with different examples based on our situation. Okay. So this is about if statement. And next control statement we are having, that is switch statement. So switch statement is one type of another control statement. It is similar to if only, but the thing is if you are having number of conditions, with equality comparison, with equality comparison, in that situation, if statement will not be preferable only. We can use, but if statement is not preferable. Means assume it, I am getting one character, some x. I am getting some character x only. I need to find whether this x is vowel or not. So vowel in the sense, I am having a, e, I, o, u. I need to check whether is it equal to A? No. Is it equal to E? No. Is it equal to I? No. Is it equal to O? No. Is it equal to U? No. Then it is not a vowel. Means I need to write the condition like this. So X, for example, this is some way and V is having X. So I am checking if V is it equal to A. Else if V is it equal to E. Else if V is equal to AEI. Else if V is equal to O. Else if V is equal to U. Else consonant. If it is not vowel, then I can say consonant. Means when you observe here, I wrote number of if statements with conditions and equality comparison conditions. In this situation, instead of using if, we can go with switch statement only. So the syntax for switch will be like this: switch expression, switch expression, begin, case, val1, statements, break. Similarly, case, val2, colon, not semicolon only, colon, 2 dots, statements, break. So like that, you may having up to case, val, n, statements, break. Then the last one is default statements. Then end. Here case val1 means the expression here, whatever the expression I mentioned, this expression is going to return one numeric value only, or else one character. So not a float values, either integer or a single character. This expression is going to return one integer or a single character. That value may be something. So I am going to check, is it equal to val1? Some value, is it equal to val1? If it is equal to val1, then the statements whichever you mentioned, that will execute. Then break. Break is nothing but controller will come outside. Controller will come outside. If it is not equal to val1, then it is going to check val2 only. The expression, the value which is returned, is it equal to val2? I am checking. If it is equal to val2, then this statement is going to execute, and then break means it will come out backside. If it is not liquid like that up to n, I am checking. If it is equal to val n, then I am saying statements, then break means it will come out backside. If these all conditions not satisfied, means the expression which is written like n plus 1, the expression which is written like n plus 1, is it in n plus we have? No, up to n only we have. 1, 2, 3 up to n only we have. But it written n plus 1 only, which is not in the cases. Then default is going to execute. In that situation, default is going to execute only. If these cases doesn't have the equal value, and that case default is going to execute. Nothing but just like a else. In if statement, we have else only. So if all conditions not satisfied, then it comes to else part and going to say consonant. Similarly like that, here default. And this switch statement will work for equality comparison only. and it is not compatible for greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to comparisons. Okay, so just we go small example to check whether the given character is vowel or not. Okay, with the help of switch statement. Just we'll work on that example. So program to check whether the given character is vowel or not. OVEL, sorry. So to accept the character, we can use percentage %c with scanf, or else get char method also we can use it. It's up to you. Okay. So main. So char C I am taking. So it's the character. So printf enter any character. Scanf percentage %c, sorry, percentage %c, comma, ampersand C. So this we can use it only. Otherwise, I can say C equal to get char. So these methods which we discussed in starting classes, IO methods, we can go with get char or get CHE also we can use it. So now SW I see it. Switch off C. C is having some value only, means some character. I am going to check case, is it equal to A? So character is represented within single quotation only. String is represented within double quotations. If it is equal to A, printf vowel. So vowel spelling, OWEL, OVEL. So the thing is OVEL I am taking vowel. Okay, what would be? So I'm not concentrating on spelling. So then break. So break. Similarly, case E, printf VOWEL, sorry. So similarly, vowel, break. Same case AEI, same statement, printf vowel, break. So case O, printf VOWEL, break. Case U, printf VOWEL, break. So vowel is AEIOU. If not vowel, then default. So just I am giving printf consonant. So not vowel means consonant. For last statement, you no need to go with break only. You don't need to provide break. Just I am running this one. So I am getting errors. So function printf should have prototype. So supposed to include header file. Hash include stdio.h. So again end. Okay. So this is a program. Just I am running this one. I am giving one character. For example, E I give. When I press enter, I got vowel. Similarly, U I am giving. Oh well. Similarly, I am giving B. So, sorry, just a minute. So, when I execute it, if I provided B, then it is a consonant. It is a consonant. So, means if other than A, E, I, O, U, it is going to give it as a consonant only. Okay. So, it is a switch statement. So, what is going on is here I am going to accept one character. So, whatever the character you accepted, it is available on C and D. Now, I am checking with C. So, whatever the value the user entered, which is on C only. And is it equal to A? C, is it equal to A? I am checking. If it is S, then it is going to display vowel and break. Break means it will come out here. So if not, then comes to here. If not, 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 comes to here. And when it comes to default, just it is giving consonant and then it will come out. Okay. So this is about switch statement. So one type of control statement. Okay. So today we'll wind up the class and tomorrow we'll continue. So have any doubts? Mention in chat box. Okay.